Hey, this is Andrew Brown from Exam Pro, and we are taking a look at Terraform provisioners. So provisioners install software, edit files, and provision machines created with Terraform. And Terraform allows you to work with two different provisioners. We have Cloud Init and Packer. So Cloud Init is an industry standard for cross-platform cloud instance initialization. When you launch a VM on a cloud service provider, you'll provide either a YAML or bash script. And so for the case of AWS, what you'll have is this box called user data. And so you can either put your YAML or bash script in there. It's the same if you're using Google or Azure. They both have this box. It might just not be called user data, but that is using Cloud Init underneath. Then you have Packer. This is an automated image builder service. You provide a configuration file to create and provision the machine image, and the image is then delivered to a repository for use. If you've ever heard of EC2 Image Builder, it's a very similar service, except that one's just for AWS. I suppose for Google, you could use Google Cloud Run. And even on AWS, you could use code build, but Packer is great because it's cloud agnostic. So you're going to just build the image, and then you can deliver it to any provider. Provisioners should be used as a last resort for more common situations. There are better alternatives. This is a warning that Hashnode puts out in their Terraform provisioner section. And so I wasn't really sure why they were saying this. So I reached out to Anton. And Anton, if you don't know him, he's an AWS community hero, just like myself. And so he specializes in Terraform. Like, he wrote so many modules for the Terraform AWS, so he knows it pretty well. And he says here, the main reason is that provisioners will do something that won't be reflected in the Terraform state. And the better alternative for that one is to use cloud provider features like Cloud Init scripts. I think this comes back to immutability when we're looking at the fact that we want to lean towards doing an approach with Packer, right? We want to bake our machines or virtual machines and then deploy, because that's going to be probably the better alternative. So if we wanted to use Cloud Init, the idea is we'd have to provide a Cloud Init YAML file, which is a very particular format. You can find them on the Cloud Init website. And the idea here is we have these run commands. So that's just like bash commands here to start and stop Apache. We can install our packages here, do an update, do an upgrade. We'll have to pass along our SSH key here. That's a very important component to that. Once we have that file configured, we can reference it as a template file over here, call it user data, and then we're going to pass it on to this section here for user data, so that when we launch up this VM, and this one in particular is for AWS, that's going to pass it to that user data, okay? Now, you might be asking, well, where's all these other provisioners? Because there's a lot of other tools out there. So Terraform used to directly support third-party provisioning tools in the Terraform language, but they were deprecated because it was considered to be poor practice, suggesting better alternatives, as we were just talking about. So you might be asking, where is Chef? Where is Puppet? Where is Salt? And the thing is that you can technically still use Chef and Puppet through Cloud Init, because Cloud Init actually supports some DSLs in there. I never used this before myself, but it doesn't look too complicated. But the idea is that there's just not direct support. So you're not going to use it directly in the language. You can use it through Cloud Init if you really need it. One thing I didn't see mentioned anywhere was Ansible. And this one's a little bit confusing because there's a lot of videos online about Terraform and Ansible working very well together, and they're complementary technologies. So Ansible is a little bit different than these other ones because it does more than just configuration management. So maybe that's the reason there. But anyway, the point is that there's no direct support for these anymore. You got to use Cloud Init, and generally, if you can, use Packer instead when you're working with virtual machines, okay?